What up? It's your boy Scuba Steve.
And I'm the Sodaholic.
Yo, soda? Soda?
Yeah. I said I'm the Sodaholic.
Oh, what the You cut out.
I didn't hear it.
You cut out on Discord. And this, yo, boy, La Chancla.
Are we keeping
Yeah,
this?
let's roll with it. Let's roll. Okay.
More blooper sad, my guy.
Oh man. Welcome to another freak man, that must be it. Welcome to another
And I'm the Sodaholic.
Another podcast. Beautiful day, beautiful people, and beautiful messed ups. Welcome to another podcast. Today we're going to talk about a lot of things. A lot of important things.
Important things.
No, we're not talking about politics or how to fix the economy or if we should go into war with the big boys out there. Nah. We're talking about cartoons.
Things that matter most.
Cartoons. And we're just gonna list down and discuss our fascination of cartoons and kind of our favorite kinds of cartoons and what is our most favorite cartoons. Top five of our list. And I think the Chonkla wants to go first.
Oh, I want to go first.
Sandal.
Is that true?
Oh, shit. I guess I'm going first.
But before we start, I would like to talk about our sponsors. As you already know, we like to record our stuff with mics. And you're probably wondering, what kind of mics are we recording with? Well, we're here to tell you that we are recording with, mics. Mics.
We're all
Things
recording
that you
with
can
different
talk
mics.
to. All right, let's get back into it.
All right.
You know who else records with mics? Voice
Beyonce.
actors.
Facts.
Oh,
Facts.
we're making the segue. Not Beyonce. Not Beyonce.
Voice actors. The voice
that do dubs and
actors
subs.
that voice the cartoons that we're about to list off today, my guys. And I think I'm gonna have to rearrange some of my top 5, but all right. So I'll just start off with my number 5. Oh man, this is so hard. I think my number 5 is going to be Adventure Time.
Ooh.
That's number 5.
Yes. I wanted to put it higher. It's right now it's on my list is 4, but I put it 5 for today because looking at the list that I have is I can't find a reason to put it higher than any of the other 4. But I really loved Adventure Time. It was one of for like the time between Teen Titans Go and Adventure Time, there wasn't a lot of really good cartoons. And the time when Adventure Time finally came out was awesome because like it was a good break from bad cartoons to good cartoons. And all the characters had good character development. They had a good what is it called? They all
designs.
had a good role to play in what they played, and they were all like they had a good dynamic between each other. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. They had good dynamics between each other, and each character had their own quirks, their own self of style, and which I really loved about the show. And I really loved the storytelling, and all the times they went off on tangents. It was a good show because like it didn't have a direct storyline, but it fit the title of the show, Adventure Time. You just go on random adventures. And so in light of that title, they went on random adventures and they ran up random tangents of the story, like the story arc of the show, which is really fun to me. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I
Makes
agree.
sense. Yeah, that's good. No, yeah. Adventure Time is I think Adventure Time is very influential. I mean, like a lot of people from like kids all the way up to adults. The fan base is huge, right? I mean, people love the different characters and the different the settings and the themes and what the what the show brings to the table, right? I mean, everyone can pick up everyone can pick up like a favorite line or episode or character or anything from the show, because it's very influential and it's a good show.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's very refreshing. I'll say that. And the jokes are good and sorry,
Also, they had like a character for everyone. Like, there's a
Mhm.
lot of different characters that a lot of people could like relate to.
Yeah.
and it has a really nice balance between like random episodes to story, right? I mean, it does well in that sense where it's like there's just like they're just episodes where they just go on adventures and have a good time, and then there's some episodes where it's like super deep and very mind blowing, and it really gets your gears going.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
really makes you think. So it's I don't know. It's a very well rounded show, very refreshing. So yeah.
All right, who next?
I'll go next. Did not.
Alright, let's
did
go,
not
Soda.
come prepared. So with that being said, my number 5 at the top of my head is the Misadventures of Flapjack.
Oh my gosh.
That show was a nightmare fuel, and they took it to whole different lengths than I thought a kid show can do. I especially found it funny when Captain Knuckles kept taking whisks of maple syrup, which is just him drinking whiskey. They did not hide that well. Even as a kid, I knew exactly what they were calling back to you. Yeah, just a lot of their imagery was gross, disturbing, and I found every bit of it hilarious. Yeah. And when I talk...
It's a lot like Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yes. Both shows nightmare fuel, but number 5, Misadventures of Flapjack.
That's a good show too. I mean, I like how I'm critiquing now. You guys are... Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's amazing show. 10 out of 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
No, like no. I mean, I think I would put that as my top 50.
Yeah.
Funny joke.
I can't even name
joke,
50.
Funny joke. No, but it was a good show.
It'd take
I
me a
watched
while
that as
to
a
get to
kid,
50.
and it didn't really freak me out. I mean, it did, but like it didn't scare me or anything. I thought it was like a good kind of freaky.
Yeah, same.
You know, like it was very. I don't know. It was just like aesthetically pleasing to look at some of those moments where it's like it zooms up to one of the characters' face and it's just super like grotesque and ugly.
That was my favorite
Like you can see the
part.
very details. Yeah, and it's just I don't know. It's just I just find it funny. I don't know what it was, and it was it was like very pleasing to see because they put so much detail into it. It's kind of funny. But yeah, no, I mean, again, it's one of those shows where it's like really weird, but not like in a scary.
Well, I don't know. The people I
Doesn't,
talked
like,
to,
push
they
people
were
away.
terrified of that show. They hated that show. I don't.
That's because they
Like
didn't
me.
Yeah.
understand.
They don't understand art.
They didn't get it.
I guess I don't understand art, guys.
Were you scared of it, or did you just not like it?
I just don't like it. I didn't like. I like story cartoons, and the cartoon was not very.
They had amazing stories,
Yeah.
actually. Like my favorite episode was when Knuckles steals a mermaid's heart, and the mermaid's a giant, and her heart's like a vase of candies, and every candy you eat is a wish, but every wish you make, she starts dying. She's just standing in the middle of the ocean, staring at them, killing her softly, and she's like shriveling up more and more. It's okay. It's yeah, you're right. It has horrible stories, but I
Crazy.
find it fucking hilarious.
No, I mean, I'm not gonna overthink that because This is probably something deeper than that. But anyways.
Alright, I'm done with this.
What?
Steve, do your number 5.
My number 5, I was thinking about it, and I would have to, like a very long time, actually only like 2 minutes, coming up with the list as I go, is Tom and Jerry.
Ooh,
Tom and Jerry's
good
a
one.
classic cartoon. I used to watch that as a kid a lot on Cartoon Network or wherever it was on, that it was available. And even though there was like minimal dialogue, it was just the animations was fun to watch, and you know the pranks that they pull for each other, and I don't know, it's just it was a good laid back, or it was a good like background TV show, but also like a show to invest in at the same time. But very classic. Does deal with a lot of abusive stuff, so and a lot of political things that I'm just saying. but yeah, no, I would put Tom and Jerry top 5. I think it's at least in my list. I don't know, I just like
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I think for the era it was in, I really liked the show because it was non-stop freaking comedy, and like to the extreme to where like even if they were in a situation where they should have died, they don't die because it's cartoons.
Yeah.
Like it's cartoon to the max, and that's what was really funny, or what really drove that show. Just cartoons to the max.
I also like how they put emphasis on sound and music to convey how the characters are feeling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think it's really cool.
Like when they were drunk, it was all woozy music, and when they were like high paced, like chase scenes, the music got super fast and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah,
good
kinda.
attention to detail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slapstick, man. It's a dying breed, but it sure was fun. It sure was fun.
Side note, do you know those, is it the Simpsons, you know how they had their own Tom and Jerry kind of thing, spin-off? Yeah, I had an Xbox that was jailbroken, so I could play a whole bunch of like old SNES, NES, like a whole bunch of like it had an emulator for a whole bunch of old games, right? So I remember playing a game based off that, I forget what they're called, but that rat or that mouse and
Itchy and
cat
Scratchy
from The Simpsons. Yeah, Itchy and Scratchy. Yeah, they had a video game. And I remember playing that with my cousins, and it was really fun. It was like surprisingly really good. So I don't know. That's just a little something.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, is it time for number 4s?
We're just staring at each other.
Alright, number 4s.
Number 4.
Freak. I don't want to do it, but I gotta do it, man. Fuck.
Do it.
So, man. Alright, so I just want to start this by saying it's number 3 on my list right now, but I gotta move it down. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Number 4 is Teen Titans.
Oh,
The original Teen Titans. I had it number 3, but it's number 4. I'll explain
if you don't
later.
put Teen Titans Go above that.
Bro, I love Teen Titans, the original Teen Titans, because they were contradictory to this Teen Titans. It was really action packed, and then and when it was not action packed, it dove deep into like the characters and their emotions and what they were going through at the time, you know? And so it had the sense of relatability to the characters, while at the same time having the action that a good cartoon has. And you know, as they are teens, so like teens go through a bunch of emotions, and so like having that relatability is awesome in a cartoon. And that's why I like it, and I put it on my number 4.
Number 4.
You know, I as a kid, I thought they weren't actually teens. I thought they were actual adults. I don't know. It just.
I mean, I don't blame you. Do you see the size of Cyborg? That guy is not a teenager.
Yeah, that dude built like a 30-year-old
Well, I mean-
father, man.
I mean, he's supposed to be a freaking football player, and that got blown up, and only has like half his body.
That's true. Big facts.
That show was
But-
amazing.
But yeah, no, I don't know. It's just I don't know. I guess the themes made it seem like, at least some of them, I kind of like as a kid, I thought they were adults. Right?
Yeah.
When you're, so I didn't really understand what was going on. Now I kind of like I get the themes. They are superhumans, but they're also teenagers, and so they have to go through teenage, life, right?
Well, that's
So I don't know. I think
that's
yeah,
why
it's a good
that's
show.
why I
Yeah.
like
The art was awesome
but
too.
the original Teen Titans is because not only was that show like action packed and had really good story, it wasn't all serious all the time because they're still teens. The show still had a lot of comedy, so that's why I was
Yeah.
upset when they switched to only comedy. Like I wouldn't mind if they had Teen Titans Go as like a filler in between episodes, but like the show had jokes in it. It had some pretty funny moments in it, but I guess not enough to keep it on the air, I guess. Big sad.
It also paid respect to
Teen
like the like Looney Tunes style of like exaggerated animation, where like when Beast Boy or Cyborg started arguing with each other, their freaking heads got huge and stuff like that, which was really funny. Which added comedy to like serious moments, or like to like the same kind of comedy that comes with like Tom and Jerry or like Looney Tunes.
Yes.
Makes sense.
All right, Soda, you're number
My
4.
number 4.
Number
4. Okay. So my number 4, like I said, I'm making it as I go, but I think I have a clear idea of what my list is. With that being said, my number 4 is Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Oh man, I moved it up to number 3.
It's my number 4, only because that show, to me as a Star Wars fan, is great, but there are some
Freaking amazing, bro.
yeah. But the show, they decided when they were releasing it back in Cartoon Network days, they didn't release it in order. It's not in canonical.
Yeah, that's his facts.
It's not in order.
Yeah, it's not in order.
people have to
King.
go online and find a list of arcs they have to watch to like actually get most of the main story points. Which is the show is great, but at all means, like it being number 4 means it had problems. It's just I enjoyed my other shows a lot more than Clone Wars did. But it's still a solid show, definitely worth a watch, even if you're not a Star Wars fan. But yeah, that's it.
I'll explain why I like it more than
That's all I got.
when I announce it as my number 3. All right, anyways. Soda, or not Soda, Scuba Steve.
Number
You're number
4. Number 4. Dang it. I can't think of a Watch Mojo freaking joke. Dang it. My number 4 would probably have to be freak balls. Chowder. Actually, no. Yeah, I'll put Chowder as number 4.
Oh
Classic
my
Chowder.
gosh, man.
Chowder number 4. Yeah, I love that show. I think it's stupid in a good way. I think it's each character has their own like vibe. Like it's not all about Chowder necessarily, where it's like, you got like Mung Dal and you got Schnitzel and Panini and all the characters bring something to the table, and it's really it's a fun show to watch. It's ridiculous. Some of them is ridiculous. I remember the episode with the gum. and where Chowder's just out grabbing groceries, and he finds this gum where, like, if you chew it, it blows up like a it blows up like words or figures or something, and it's just like this weird kind of gum, and Chowder was super fascinated by it, that he bought the whole stand worth of gum. You chew it all, and then like it just like escalated to the point where the gum engulfed the whole world. Right? But then at the end of the episode, it turns out that the big gum, like that whole earth gum, was actually a small gum, right? In which Chowder bit. So it's like that episode was just like, it was funny, it was cool to watch, and it was kind of dumb, but at the end it was very like, what the like the universe, it's like, oh man. So I don't know, Chowder brings I mean, I don't get tired of watching Chowder. I think it's a good show to watch when you're trying to pass time or want a good little laugh. Although there was one episode where it was Snitchel, Mongdal, and Chowder, and they were in the forest, and they were finding this like super rare ingredient, and this animal like comes out of nowhere and like puffs, like throws this freaking powder at them one by one, and they turn small, and they go into this little freaking creature's little hut, and all three of them are just chilling with them, and it turns out that this little creature is like super lonely and wants a friend, right? And so he locks up everybody in the house, and he forces them to play this board game, and for them to leave, they have to win. All of them have, or one of them has to beat the guy, the little creature dude. And yeah, that episode frustrated me, because it was like, why don't you let these guys go? You freaking lonely dude. You lost. All right, you lost. Get over it.
Man, the more we go down this list, the more it sounds like you guys are the guys that like Ed, and Eddie.
I loved Ed, and Eddie. Why did you say that?
Oh,
like no! Hold up.
No, I hated
Ed,
Ed,
and
and
really
Eddie.
good.
Fuck.
It's good.
No.
Oh, but yeah, Chowder, highly recommend. It's a good show. It's kind of sad that they took it off of Netflix. They took a lot of shows off of Netflix. A lot of Cartoon Network shows, at least. It's kind of sad.
All right. Going in to our number threes.
Number 3.
I already said this was my number 3, but here we go. So if you guys watched our episode for our last top 5s, I was like, oh man, I gotta save my explanation for Star Wars for this moment. Because my number 3 is Star Wars The Clone Wars.
What?
And the reason why I love Star Wars, the Star Wars universe, and Star Wars The Clone Wars so much is because
I'm a nerd.
it dives so deep into the universe of Star Wars. Like, like it gives you all the storylines that you didn't get to see in the movies, and it builds on top of the movies, because it gives you a better understanding of what's happening around the universe and what's happening, and like to ordinary people and to different worlds, because it's not all about the Jedi. Like there are more people than just the Jedi. There's more people than just Anakin Skywalker.
On your 16th birthday.
And so I really love Star Wars The Clone Wars. And the reason why I moved it up from number 5 all the way to number 3 was because, bro, that freaking ending, man, was so good. Not a lot of cartoons have good endings, but
not a
man,
lot of shows.
Star Wars.
Not a lot of shows in general have good endings.
I know, not a lot of shows in general have good endings, but man, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, that was creme de the crop, baby, like Cisco says,
Baby.
or like Scuba says. Sorry, my bad.
Baby.
Cream of the crop, baby. It was so good.
Creme
I loved it.
Creme brulee
I
sauce.
agree, though. If you make it to the last season, skip the arc with the sisters. That was pointless.
No, it was not pointless, but like.
No, I watched that as a kid. I've only watched like a couple episodes from the first and second season. Not because I didn't like it, but because I didn't get invested in Star Wars up until
That's
recently.
understandable.
So yeah, but when the Clone Wars came out, I thought it was just a kids show because it came out on Cartoon Network.
It definitely was at
And
first.
so-
Those first seasons, they're pretty tough, but they were still trying to find their footing.
Yeah,
You know?
but it surprised me when. Well, it really shouldn't surprise me since it's Star Wars, but right. But like when my adult friends would talk about Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and I'm like, isn't that a kids show? But then again, it's like cartoons now become like not just for kids, at least
Yeah, like what writers gotta
certain
understand is that like kids aren't the only audience that you're getting.
Yeah,
And like
Adventure Time
kids
is a
love
good
stories.
example.
Just tell them a
Yeah.
story, bro.
I will say this.
Like Adventure Time is a good example of like it's not only just a kids show, but there's also a different type of audience, variety of audience that it's looking at.
Yeah.
I will say this about Star Wars: The Clone Wars, especially I think in the later seasons, that even though it was on Cartoon Network, that show had some really violent scenes. Like I love violent scenes, but some of the things that they showed on the show, I was surprised they got away with on Cartoon Network and not Adult Swim. People get slashed by a lightsaber and their top half would be facing the wrong way from the rest of their body because they got cut. In the, it was interesting to see oh, you did that. You showed me that. Cool. But yeah, good show.
Also, freaking, I don't know if season 5, I think it was on Cartoon Network, but season 5 got into pretty dark storylines where Fives got
That was season 6.
Fives and what's his
That was
name
season 6.
got the Order
That was season
66
6.
super early,
Season 6.
and it was season 6. I don't know if that aired on I don't know if that aired on Cartoon Network, but if it did, that was a pretty dark storyline. Because they were going through freaking hard times, and then when they died, it was the nightmares, what was it? The nightmares, the fighting. It's all over. The sweet release of death.
They did those clones dirty, man. Some of them would be begging for their lives, and then they'd be sucked into space, and you can see the air escape their lungs. It's just awful.
Yeah. But that also pays testament to how good the freaking the animation quality was. Even though in the very beginnings the animation wasn't that good, but you could see how good the animation evolved throughout the show, which is really cool. Especially at the end. The end compared to the beginning, oh my gosh. The animation's so amazing.
Okay. My top 3. My number 3 would be the oh, excuse me. Is Steven Universe. Love that show.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
my number 3. When that show first aired, I fucking hated it. Oh my god. That first episode where Steven started singing about Cookie Cat. Cookie Cat is a treat for your tongue. I wanted to fucking
That
punch
was
him
the
in the
first
face
episode? I didn't
as
even-
hard as I could. I wanted him to die on a mission with his 3 moms,
hilarious.
except his real mom is dead. That show annoyed me so much. But it wasn't. It wasn't until I went over to a friend's house and they just had it playing that it was. They started dealing with super serious topics, and then I was like, huh, maybe the show isn't as annoying as I think it is. And so I when I got home, I started playing a random episode, and Steven's in a car with a bunch of teenagers who's a lot older than him, and they're all complaining about their lives. One is complaining because his dad is a politician and that he has standards for his son when he just wants to be free. Another teenager, she's her family runs a restaurant and she just doesn't want to deal with the stress. And they're all complaining left and right. And they're like, "What about you, Steven? What's your problem?" He's like, I think everyone blamed me for the death of my mom, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "What the shit? This kid, this poor kid."
That's true.
Yeah,
It was pretty like, what the hell? Like,
yeah, that
I
show.
And
I
this
wonder
show
what-
was
I
on
wonder
Cartoon
what
Network,
would-
by the way.
What would you do if you were in that situation if your friend was like, you know, oh, I think everyone plays me?
I do exactly what they did. They
You know.
they were listening to music. They turned it off and they went to like serious mode. Like, hey man, we're here for you. That sucks
I know.
ass, but we're here for you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's crazy.
That's true. That's wild.
I
man.
know.
I saw
Bro, I
it too,
don't
and was
believe
like, whoa.
Cookie Cat was the
I was
first
like, oh,
freaking
man.
episode. What the fuck?
Whoa, Steven.
Was Cookie Cat actually the first episode? There's no way.
Yeah, Cookie Cat was the first.
Because that's
episode.
when he first figures out his powers. There's no way. What the fuck? He figured out his power that early on in the show.
Yeah.
I feel like the first season was just, you know, just random. It was just a random season.
Dang.
But it did kind of foreshadow a whole bunch of stuff later in the show.
Yeah, that's facts.
I remember repeatedly watching the episode when Connie and Steven
Oh my
first
god,
met.
it's just Connie and Steven. Oh my god, man, fucking. I've never rooted for kids, you know, before in a show. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, but since day one, man, I was like, Connie and Steven better, like, you know, get together and get
Bro,
married.
my heart melted when like Connie was staying over at Steven's house or something. No, Steven was staying over at Connie's house, and earlier in the episode, they made a comment to each other that they like to just sit and watch the snowfall, and it was snowing, and then Connie just came downstairs where Steven was sleeping. They didn't say a word, and they just looked outside the window and watched the snowfall. That was fucking amazing, man. What the hell?
That was a beautiful moment. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a great show. It's a great show.
Great show, bro.
Alright,
Holy
moving
shit.
on.
Alright.
Top 3.
Alright, Scuba Steve, what's your number?
Freak. My top 3, probably, yeah, it's the same.
Yeah.
Man.
I did. Well, I didn't watch the first episodes. My first episode was actually the Steven and Connie episode when they first met.
Really?
That's what.
Dang.
Yeah, and so that's what got me like, wow, this is a great show.
That's actually a pretty good episode to come in on, to be honest.
And I watched. Yeah, then I watched the Ice Cream Cat one. I was
The
like,
Cookie Cat.
glad. Yeah, the Cookie Cat one. You know, I'm glad where I picked up where I did. You know. But no, yeah, it's, I don't know, I mean, it's a good show. The fan base can be kind of toxic, low-key, but, you know, I kind of ignore that because most of my friends or all the friends that do love Steven Universe, like, some of my friends, like, aren't as toxic, and we kind of just, like, are happy. Sometimes we'll have watch parties, and so, yeah, I mean, and then, you know, the story's kind of cool, I mean, and some of the themes are interesting. It does get kind of tiresome when they're like, oh, Steven can solve anything with love and friendship.
What?
Like, I mean, yeah. Sounds like a Kingdom Hearts game.
Watch the last season. Just watch
But-
the last season.
Yeah, I need to watch the last season. I hear it was like very good. I don't know. I don't know. I enjoyed the show. I love the animations and the characters that that the show brings, you know, like from Steven himself to, you know, the freaking Garnet and, you know, the gems
Yeah.
to the evil villains that become good, like Peridot,
Yeah.
and some of the themes that they mess with, like identity with Lapis Lazuli. I think it's kind of, I don't know, I think it's interesting to say. I think it's kind of cool, and, you know, but I mainly just watch it because of Connie and Steven, man. Oh, man. When they got back together in that one episode, you know, when they fought and then they got back and then they, like, they were talking and Steven's like, oh, no.
Oh yeah, the stuff. Yeah.
Ba-ba-ba-da-da.
I don't know. I like the show.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Bro, that episode was so
I also
corny,
love.
but it was
Also,
amazing.
the music.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, the music.
So many good pieces of music in that cartoon, bro.
I especially love the 16-bit, 8-bit. You know, those little funky little, bits.
Yeah.
That they do. Yeah, those are my favorite. And nothing is iconic as Giant Woman. Nothing.
All I wanna do is see you turn into a giant woman.
A giant.
Alright. Number 2s. I'm only skipping over that because I have to explain it later too. I'm trying to leave some topics for later. Number 2s. My number 2 is this cartoon was super short, but kudos to the freaking guy that wrote this, man. Oh my gosh. Kudos. Cause what
Dude's
he
like, bet.
he knew how long and how much time he needed to make this cartoon, and freaking Disney begged him to make more episodes. But he was like, "Nah, man, I did my job. I made my cartoon, and it's as good as I want it to be. I'm content." And that show is Gravity Falls.
Big facts.
Gravity
Big
Falls
money.
with
Cash money.
2 seasons created one of the best shows, man, of all time. Oh my gosh.
That's big facts. That's big facts.
It took you in freaking wild adventures. You had really good character development, even though Mabel didn't really have any good character development.
What do you mean, man? She's a strong, independent woman.
But a lot of people argue that Mabel was not the best character. Anyways, but
Dang.
I love that show, man. It had a good plot, had a good storytelling. All the characters were awesome. All the twists and turns. All the freaking amazing animation, bro. Amazing animations from the day one, from first episode, bro. Animations were amazing.
Big facts.
And all the characters had a good connection with each other, good vibe, good dynamic. And then for it to like snowball into a freaking crash landing that was freaking stunning was amazing. It's a great story and really relatable characters. I loved it.
That show was amazing. They definitely got. This is another show that got away with a lot more than I thought they would. There was the most like memorable scene in that whole show was when Dipper and Pacifica is like investigating the mansion, and like they're hunting a ghost, and they're like, "Oh, this ghost isn't a big threat," but it turned out that the ghost was like a real giant threat, and there were stuffed animal heads, like hunting heads, all around the room. And then those heads started chanting demonic voices, and you started bleeding from the eyes and the mouth.
Episode,
bro. Disney, like, man, good job, good job.
And the foreshadowing from the shapeshifter that was going to tell how Dipper died, and to complete it in that episode, bro, that was crazy. That was wild.
Yeah. That was a scary episode, man.
Yeah.
It's a great show.
A lot of like
Loaded.
super high intense parts of the episodes.
That show made me laugh so hard.
My favorite character development was Mabel, because Mabel didn't have little to none character development throughout the whole show, but by the end of the show, where she comes out of her own bubble, was an awesome moment, because for someone to be as stubborn as Mabel was and to not change at all, to be like super mature at the end of the movie, or not the movie, the cartoon
Canon.
It was so amazing. Like, it was awesome. Like, imagine being somewhere where being in a trap made to suit your every need, to be your full imagination and what you want the world to be, and to leave that world to go into the real world that you know is fucked up is super mature, bro. Crazy.
I also like the lore. I think the lore of Gravity Falls is, it's still kind of like people still kind of are figuring out mysteries, and you know there's clues that not even from the show. Like there's books, right? They dropped the notebooks in the real road, real road. Right? And so like even after the show is done, there's still people kind of like figuring out and solving these mysteries that.
And all the ciphers
show.
that were said in the beginning of the episodes.
Yeah, and it's like there's even like clues inside the freaking the opening in the theme song in the opening credits.
Yeah.
You know, like if you slow down and you can
Play it
just,
and
like,
rewind.
Yeah, like there's so much to it. Like the show is based around like solving mysteries and like looking at, you know, clues and like going beyond just the surface level, right? And so like you have to interact with the show, even like not only just by watching, but you know, just by like actually looking deeper into the lore. Like there's so much to it,
Yeah.
which is kind of fun and it's interesting and it's really cool. I don't know, I just like, it's like that show in Rick and Morty, right? There's like that theory where it's like those two universes are kind of like intertwined, right? They're both based on the same universe. So it's like there's a lot that the show provides besides story and goofballs and, you know, and the animation, right? I mean, there's just like so much lore and so much mystery that I don't know. They put a lot of thought,
Yeah.
a lot of like thought into the show.
And to like think that they all based the town that the whole show was taking place in off of a real town in Oregon was kind of crazy too. Figuring that out was kind of crazy.
But yeah, it's a good show.
Very,
It's a good
very
show.
much so. Very much so.
All right.
Okay.
Soda's number 2.
Number 2. So, I was contemplating what my number 2 was because it was tied with a show. But thanks to Pablo, it definitely made me realize which one I should pick. Well, originally I was gonna say my number 2 was also Gravity Falls, but since that's Pablo's, time to go with the one that was tied with it, and it was what Cisco was saying,
Yeah.
Rick and Morty. I love that show.
Oh
And-
my gosh.
And Cisco, you're not wrong about the tie-in because they're the creators of those shows are buddies.
Oh,
Yeah,
or like friends, yeah,
And so
no.
they have scenes
like
where
watched- yeah, I
they have
watched a whole
scenes
bunch
where Gravity Falls objects goes inside of a portal and then comes out in Rick and Morty. That's amazing to me. That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
so
yeah.
cool.
That's funny.
yeah.
That's funny.
I
I
like
gotta
that.
watch Rick and
Yeah.
Morty now. Fuck.
But yeah,
It's like the very first episode. No, it's like when in Rick.
oh
and
yeah, it
Morty.
is. It is.
It's one of- yeah. It was like the very first episode, and like you could barely
Yeah.
see it.
Yes.
It's very quick, but.
I-
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, sorry.
I mean, it's a very popular show right now, but yeah, I love the humor. The humor cracks me up so much because it's wrong to laugh at.
Put it up your ass, Morty.
Morty, get up your clothes, take a shower with Morty.
Take a shower.
I need you to shove these way up your butt, Morty. My what? Your butt, Morty. Way up your butt. Yeah,
gosh.
it's just a lot of jokes that it's just I missed seeing in the mainstream TV show, and these guys not only made a really funny show, but there are some really heavy-handed, like there's an underlying plot to the actual show, which is interesting because like if you blink, it could just be another comedy show, but they definitely have a storyline weaving in the background. So it's really cool to see that like their plots aren't in the the forefront. It's in the background, and you have to really pay attention to it to see it. But yeah, that's my number 2.
I think the episode where Morty is trying to ask that hot girl out, but like he's asking Rick for like a serum or like something so that he can gain confidence to like ask her out, and then it just escalates to the world coming to an apocalypse, right? And so then they have to the only way to actually like solve the situation is to go to a different universe and kill that Rick and Morty, spoilers, and kill that Rick and Morty in that universe, right? And take over. Well, not really kill. They didn't really kill. They died. They died in that universe, and so they just replaced themselves with the dead Rick and Morty. But like, just how dark that was, right? When it became like a little innocent like crush, and like, hey, help me out so I can ask this girl out to the dance, to like living in a whole different world. Because you can see like Rick and Morty just like freaking like, what the hell is going on, right? Like, I don't know, that episode was freaking
Yeah, man, it's funny.
Right, that's what I.
It's funny to see.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
But
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's when I knew that this show wasn't gonna be only jokes. Like there was so much to it than just the you know. Yeah.
It's funny when you have like in that show the world's smartest man to come up with like a solution, and his solution is just bail. It's great. It's great.
That's true. That's true. Iconic song. Bro, that spooked me, man.
Also, I feel like cartoons that are like made for adults are so underrated, man. They're so underrated. Like, oh man.
Oh, damn it.
They're so much more appealing than like, or at least now when we're older, they're so much more appealing than like kids cartoons. Cause like, you get the adult humor with actual real world problems and real people problems. Like, it's so much more relatable than the happy style that cartoons are taking now. It's one thing I like about like shows like that.
Oh, okay. All right, on to number 2. My number 2 has to be this is brought to you by popcorn. Once you have the first handful, you just have to have another one. Speaking of another one, I like the regular show as my top 2.
Oh.
But no, I think the regular show top 2, or on my second one. I just like how funky it is, and how like each episode, like it's one of those things where, again, the audience is like for kids and for adults alike, right?
Yeah.
The fan base is like everyone, like a lot of people that I talk to with regular show knows the reference, you know, like what up, you know, and all that. Yeah, and like I don't know, it's just I just never have a bad time watching that show. I also like the characters. The characters are funny, from the main characters to maybe some of the side characters. The animations are interesting, like, and the universe is kind of wild to me, because it's like I can't tell, like, because it's because like the main characters aren't all human.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
The humans are side characters, which are just NPCs, or like they don't even.
Yeah, and most of the humans are bad guys too.
Yeah, and I don't know, I just find that interesting because like a lot of cartoons, some of the even if they're like humans and aliens or like monsters, the main characters are the humans, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know, it's just kind of cool that they kind of switched it around, where it's like the you know, a bird is a main character, and you know,
Bird and a raccoon.
a bird and a raccoon. And the thing is, it's like they're not even, you know, they're like they deal with some like, you know, themes that are pretty interesting, like love and friendship and lost and all that jazz. Right? And I think they, you know, they do it in a cool way, in a good way, in a safe way. But I don't know, yeah, and I don't know, I just like the character designs too. I think they're kind of cool. I like the colors, and some of the music is cool. The jokes are funny, and the universe is amazing. And you know, I like the way they ended the show. You know, so like I like the way they started, and they had really good momentum, and it just seemed like it didn't stop, and they knew when to end the show.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And like
So-
the main characters are based off like early 20s dudes that just like they didn't even go to college, right? They didn't go to college. They just came out of high school. They're finding their way through life. Like,
Actually, in the movie, it turns out that Rigby had, or Mordecai had the opportunity to go to college university.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of that season 1 because a lot of their jokes were not aimed at kids. Like when they break a hole in the wall, you're like, dude, how the H are we gonna fix this S?
the H are we gonna-
My favorite one was when Mordecai was like about to fold his arms, and Rigby is begging him to stop. But then once he did, Mordecai was like, "It's too late. I'm pissed." I'm like, "Oh wow." I love.
I'm gonna do it, bro. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, no, yeah.
No, please
one of
don't!
Those, yeah, it's one of those like cartoons where it's like, how is this on Cartoon Network?
Bro, even what the frick was that one where the freaking Rigby monster, backwards Rigby, whatever. I don't remember what it is. When freak, Jinx. There we go. That was the name of the episode, Jinx. When they say the same word at the same time, and Mordecai jinxed Rigby, and he can't talk. If he does, he gets punched. And Rigby got so fed up with it, he tried to break his own jinx, and he goes to the mirror and creates a freaking monster that wreaks havoc and eats everyone. Like, what the fuck? That was so funny. That like, how does like Cartoon Network get away with that?
Also, I'm a big sucker for love stories, low key, especially when it comes to cartoons. And like, yeah, Mordecai and his love arc, so sad, man.
Margaret.
Freaking relatable.
Margaret. Fucking Mordecai kills Rigby. Yeah, that was a good show. Good show.
I know. I sometimes I watch, cause on YouTube there's like music videos where people kind of like make aesthetic music videos from like cartoon shows or stuff, you know. And like when I'm in that mood of sadness, I like to watch was it there's this so Kuko has this song, I think it's like Lava Lamp, or it's like a sad song about love and heartbreak and stuff, and it's dubbed over a couple shots from a couple scenes from the regular show with Mordecai and CJ, you know,
Yeah.
and Margaret, and like how like, you know, they're in love and then they fell apart, and like, you know, and it's just like this whole you just see those scenes of love and heartbreak, right? Because like ultimately it always ended up in heartbreak for Mordecai, and I was like, you know, when I'm in heartbreak, I listen to that. I watch that. Forever sadness. But other than that, it's a good show. I mean, each character again, they don't like, each character has meaning, and you know, they don't try to emphasize certain, they don't outweigh each other, you know.
Yeah.
Like yeah. So it's a good show. I like it. Funny show.
All right.
Okay, Pablo.
Time for number 1.
Oh no.
Are we gonna do a commercial break real quick? No, I'm kidding. So my number one. I love this show, man. Freak. How do I like explain?
Powerpuff Girls.
We already explained so much about it. Alright, I'm just gonna go out and say it. My number one is Steven Universe.
What?
Alright. The reason why I love Steven Universe is because the characters are so relatable, the story is so good, and it actually had a good ending. A pretty good ending.
I don't know.
Not the best ending, but it had a pretty good ending.
Yeah.
But I love the reason why I love Steven Universe so much is because all the characters are so relatable, and you get to learn so much about Steven Universe and all the characters. Each character gets their own like story arc. Each character gets like their own episodes that you get to learn and dive deeper into their like their their personality and what they're going through. Like the Sadie episodes, the Garnet episodes, the Pearl episodes, and Amethyst episodes, bro. All of those were so good, bro. To see that like everyone has their problems, everyone is going through stuff. It's so relatable. Like not everyone is happy, and that's what Steven Universe, like the show Steven Universe nailed was like everybody has problems, and you just gotta fight through your problems, you know?
With friendship and love.
And bro, the music so good, man. Best music
Yeah, I love the music.
out of like all the cartoons, man. Like almost every cartoon, better music.
when Steven was singing to Pearl and his dad, that there's a lot more to them than what they're not understanding. Oh man, the colors represent. Oh, bro, it was good. It was really good.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
So good, man.
very meaningful.
And that's what I love the most about this show is that it told a really good story, and that all the characters were relatable, all the characters were important, and each one had their own story. It was awesome. That's why I love Steven Universe. Alright. We talked enough about that one. So, Soda,
Bet.
what's your number one?
My number one is very dear to me, and well, no, it's close. It's close.
Go.
It's iCarly. iCarly is
Oh
my
my
favorite
God.
cartoon series.
That's not even a cartoon! What the fuck?
I know. Okay.
Oh,
For realsies though, my favorite
I'm
cartoon
dying.
over all other cartoons that I listed below, Chowder. Chowder's my number one. Chowder's
Oh, my God.
dang, that's
like,
surprising.
Chowder's the funniest show I've ever watched ever. When it never
Shake it.
watching SpongeBob.
Alright, bye, guys. I'll see you
watching
later.
SpongeBob, like it kind of gets stale towards like recent years, but Chowder in its whole runtime was funny as hell in every single episode. There are jokes in that show that I find funny, and I start laughing anytime I start thinking about it. From Ugly Daughter to to when they lost
classic.
the money, like they lost funding for animation, so it switched over to the actual voice actors trying to raise money to get the animation back. Bro, the fourth wall breaks in this show is amazing. I love it, and the spice that they were looking for in the jungle that Scuba Steve was mentioning earlier was cinnamony. Yeah.
Yeah, cinnamon. Yeah. Stupid freaking monster. Good episode, but yeah. Shake
Chowder almost exploded because he had to pee. And he was, Schnitzel and Miguel were concerned that they were gonna drown in his pee if he explodes. Oh man, I love that show. Love it. Number one, Chowder.
shout outs to the episode where Snitzel, like the whole episode is about Snitzel and Chowder going to the bank, right? Like they're at the bank the whole damn like bit, and like there's a part where Chowder is offered a lollipop, and it's just like a straight minute of like, would you, would I, would you, would I, like, and you can see Snitzel just getting freaking pissed. It's great. I love that. Iconic. I always wanted to make the burp or nurples. I think it's, yeah. It, like, there's an actual recipe. I want to, and not gonna lie, I was just like 2 years old when I realized that the names in that show were based off of food. Like I thought Chowder was just like an original name. I was like, oh, I didn't know Schnitzel was like, you know, a food.
I knew something was up when I heard the name Kimchi. I'm like, huh,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Shoutouts to when Chowder, I think Schnitzel had an order to bring in ham, and they got lost in like the backwoods of the city. That was a good episode. There's a lot of good episodes. Anyways.
care to sell to
before we get into our last number one episode, I would like to talk about our last sponsor. All right, so my number one cartoon episode, it was probably one of the first shows that I finished. Like, I binged and finished all the way through, and I never got bored. Well, I mean, maybe I did. Maybe some episodes was kind of draggy, but you know. But it's a very iconic show in my opinion. A lot of people. Never mind. I'm just kidding. Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yup.
It's my favorite show, cartoon show of all time. I like it was on when Netflix was starting to be a huge thing, or like when. Or I remember it being on Netflix in the very infant years of Netflix, right? It had all the seasons and stuff, and so I binge watched that as a kid. Like I would just go home and or it was like summertime, and there's like 3 seasons, right? 3-4 seasons. I watched all of it, and like because I remember watching it when I was way younger than that, and I saw a couple like episodes and clips and stuff. So I was like, well, if it's here on Netflix, might as well watch the whole thing. And oh man, it's like each character has its own arc, right? And like it's very well balanced between the characters, and the themes are, you know, very thought-provoking, and the animations are very, you know, aesthetically pleasing to watch, right? And you know, there's some episodes where they just goof around, and some episodes where they, you know, invest in the story, right? And there's a whole bunch of character development, right? It's a very well balanced show, and there's not like a lot of episodes, so it's a very bingeable show, and it doesn't get too tiring, or it doesn't drag on for a long time. You know, it starts out strong and it ends strong, you know, and then they have that spin-off Legend of Korra, which I haven't watched yet, but I heard it was really good.
It is really good.
But yeah, but I don't know, it's just it's a cool show. I mean, like, you know, a lot of people, I wouldn't say, I mean, I don't know, I always get, whenever I mention that show to a lot of people, they always talk about it for like hours. Right? But yeah, I don't know, and it's one of those like conversation starters too, where it's like, oh, what if you had an element, what element would you be? You know, I'm like fire. But to answer that question, I'm like air. I'm like, you know. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's cool. I don't know, and I don't know. It's just cool watching some of the clips too on YouTube. Like, yeah. So
that show had a lot. Oh, yep.
And the music. Sorry.
You go.
I was just gonna say, the music is great. I think it's a very iconic show. I think it kind of like sets pathways to a lot of like anime, cartoonish American shows, you know?
Yeah.
Because like you said, yeah, it's very, you know, we discussed this in a hot take, but it's very influenced by anime, right? And so, or like Japanese anime, right? And so, and there's also discussion whether or not if that show is an anime or is it a cartoon, right? But you know, that's a whole different discussion. But yeah, I don't know. It's very well done in my opinion, and it's a fun show. So.
Yeah, that show is funny. It had some pretty like super like creepy moments and super intense moments. I don't know if I want to spoil it, but like, who hasn't seen it by now?
Oh, too late.
I haven't seen it.
Wow.
I've watched like a few episodes, but I haven't seen like all of it. So I mean,
It's a phenomenal
Dang,
show.
you're missing out, man. You gotta watch it.
You
gotta
know
watch
what?
it. Let's watch.
You know what I'm really upset about? The people who missed out on the show, but decided to watch the live action movie, because that is horrible, horrible misrepresentation. It's just.
I think people who know the show, who watch the show, to the filmmakers, you know, from the spectrums from those two and in between, right? Know for a fact that movie's the worst movie of all time.
The creators were
time.
pissed.
Bro, they should just-
The creators were pissed at the show or the movie. They didn't think it was gonna be as garbage as it was.
Most iconic scene in that movie is when the Earthbenders are retaliating against the firebenders, right? And so like there's a group of them just like, you know, charging, but like, and they're trying to like throw out like a whole boulder at them, but just like a small rock just flies across the screen, right? They make like this whole like haka like like, you know, energy, right? Like they come together and they're fighting back, and you can see they're strong. And you know, the Earthbenders, like, you know, they literally control the Earth, right? And so like, you know, it's, you know, they bring power and strength, and then they throw this small freaking rock. Come on,
Pretty
Come on.
garbage. Pretty. More like ugly garbage. That movie. Ugly. Garbage.
you got him. Oh man, oh man, big oof.
all right.
All right,
I have
on to
one
number
question.
0.
I have one closing question for you guys, because our lists were kind of different, you know.
That-
So, my my question to you guys is what do you like? What sets great cartoons apart from like alright cartoons? Or like, what do you like the most about cartoons?
The balance between serious, like goofiness and seriousness, right? I think that's interesting, because it's like a cartoon doesn't have to only appeal to kids, right? I think there's a stigma where a lot of cartoons are appealing to kids, but like shows like Adventure Time or like Regular Show or like Avatar: The Last Airbender, like they appeal to a wide different audience, and there's like this whole fan base in that whole TV universe, right? Because, you know, it deals with a lot of themes and like character development, and there's a whole bunch of like different like points, different aspects to that TV show, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it has a really good balance between like serious episodes and goofy episodes, and you know, I don't know. I enjoy cartoons like that, you know.
Yeah.
It's like not like it doesn't have to be serious all the damn time, right?
Yeah.
Or it doesn't have to be or it doesn't have to be goofy all the damn time, right? And so, like, when it does have a nice balance, it's a good watch, because it doesn't keep you guessing. It's very non-predictable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
What about you, Soda?
Well, I agree completely with what Scuba Steve just said, because for me, I just agree completely, because like, I mean, to have a show that could make me laugh but also not ignore the fact that there are some actual problems and issues, I mean, that show speaks more to me, because that's life. Sometimes you laugh, sometimes you cry. You know, it's how it is. And for a show to create something like that, you know, to something that we could resonate with and we can laugh with, but also like relate to when we're sad. That's a whole new level.
Yeah.
Because it's encompassing everything instead of just one laugh or suspense. So for me, that's what makes a cartoon good.
Good. Good. Alright, my answer is pretty similar, but not exactly. What separates a good cartoon and a great cartoon is like the ability to relate to its audience. Like, I know you guys already said that, but like, the reason why Steven Universe is my favorite cartoon was because all the characters had their own story, all the characters had their own sense of relatability, and they were all different, they all had different personalities, and they all had different problems. So it related to a wide audience, and it was really, really relatable, and it was really fun to watch because it wasn't always sad, and it had like points where it was happy, and points where it was like super exciting to watch. And then a common theme in my top 5 was the ability to tell a story. Not a lot of cartoons are story-based, which is fine because not all cartoons are meant to tell stories, but the type of cartoons I like are story cartoons. And the ability or in my top 5, all of these cartoons that I chose were really great at telling the stories they wanted to tell, and which really sends a good testament, or really like kudos to the person that freaking created these cartoons, man. Like, they're freaking geniuses in creating these stories that everyone loves and stuff like that. Like, damn, the amount of work that goes behind that, and the amount of like freaking drive to tell the story they want to tell, is awesome. That's why those are the big 2 things that I like about my top 5 cartoons. Is the ability for the characters to relate to real world problems and real world people, and the ability to tell a great story. That's what I love about cartoons.
Any of you guys got like one quick cartoon that you want to suggest to the audience that we can go over?
Teen Titans Go.
Teen Titans Go.
That show's actually funny. As much as I hate to say it, the show's actually funny.
It's like a guilty pleasure of mine. I watch it so I can learn how to hate it, and then I'm just like.
It was Steven I saw in the theaters when they hit the movie.
Wait, what? For real?
It was actually surprisingly really good.
That's funny.
I thought that was I thought you were being serious.
Wait, what'd you say? I didn't hear.
My quick suggestion is Infinity Train on Cartoon Network.
Oh man, I heard that one's really good. I really want to watch
they're it's not funny, but it's heartfelt and also really, really, really intense in some scenes. So, highly recommend. It didn't quite make the cut, only because it's a new show, and I had years of watching these other shows, but Infinity Train is definitely up there. So,
Yeah.
give that a watch.
I've watched like the first few episodes, but like I don't know where they air, so I couldn't get to watch all of them. But I hear it's a really good show. I want to watch that one. I have 2 because 1, I'm a Star Wars fan, and 2, I don't want to be all Star Wars. So my my first one is Star Wars Rebels. Because going on the story is it really expands the universe of Star Wars, and like tells the story of the normal people of the time of 4, 5, 6. It tells the story of like people and the universe around Star Wars at the time of 4, 5, and 6 without having to reference like Luke Skywalker or Leia Organa most for like the whole thing. It was just about normal people in the universe. And then my second one would be I think I had it on the top of my head. Let's go. Ben 10, my guy. Ben 10, the original. Not
Ben 10.
It's like I think it's the original one. Ben 10.
Yeah, Ben 10 is a good one.
I love Ben 10. Ben 10 was a good show.
Now, my favorite was the Diamond one. I like the Diamond guy.
I don't know which one my favorite is.
Generator Rex guy.
Oh, my favorite one is Generator X. That's a pretty good show, not gonna lie, but like
Generator Rex.
it got canceled super early.
Wasn't a good show.
But yeah, Ben 10, I like the speedy dude.
Right. Sorry, that was weird.
What's your top 5 cartoons?
Do you watch cartoons while eating a croissant from Burger King?
Are you a cartoon yourself? Comment below.
Comment down below. Yeah, what is it? Just comment down below, please, and say hi.
We need to know that you're actually watching, please.
We see that we have viewers, but we don't know
I
you're
don't care
there.
if you say first or that we don't agree with your opinion.
Tell us that we're your favorite cartoon show, please.
Oh, man. Anyways, thanks for listening to another podcast, gamer guys and women and peoples of the world. You are listening right now to radio station podcast Boys That Talk Brown.
$5 topping radio station, bro. No, I'm kidding.
Starting up a OnlyFans
Go.
page.
But it's like, it's only like my pinky finger that you get to look at. Alright, now go home, please.
And if you're home, leave.
Alright,
To another home, please.
peace out, my
Home
dudes.
should be where friendship and
Remember,
love.
Ohana means family. Family means no one gets left behind. Stitch, another good...